Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to We the People Bayou Terrebonne Parish School Board Candidate Forum tonight. We're going to begin with a prayer by Reverend Dr. Steve Fomar, and then Miss Catherine Salty will do the pledge. So if everybody would please stand.
Let's pray. Father, we come before you tonight in all humility, thanking you for your incredible mercy and grace, your love for us, even when we don't deserve it. Father, I thank you for the joy of living in a community that's interested in our leadership, interested in their positions. Father, a community that still loves traditional values, a community that believes that in honoring God, good things happen. And so, Father, I pray for these folks who are here tonight to share their hearts with us, to help us make a good decision for our community, to give us discernment, Father, and let your Holy Spirit guide our thoughts and our actions. And Father, I pray your blessings on our parish as we continue to recover from the storm. Father, so many people are still hurting. Our schools are hurting. And so we pray for your wisdom and guidance and even a touch from your powerful hand. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you again for coming. My name is Vicki, and we just want to read the vision of We the People Bayou community. Anytime we host something, we want to be sure that you know what we're about and why we're here. And so our vision is that we stand united to preserve the God-given rights secured in our Constitution and protected in the Bill of Rights for future generations. Our mission is to instill in our community the spirit of the Constitution by providing access to resources and information, empowering citizens to take action, and holding elected officials accountable. And our scripture for our organization is found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. It says, "If my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and heal their land." Amen.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Bud Kluche. I'm going to be your moderator for this evening. I'd like to thank all the candidates for coming and sharing with us and giving their platform, and we appreciate that so much. I want to thank you guys that are in the audience as well. HTV and Martin Foles, who's going to be putting this on HTV10 Facebook page, so that everybody could see it, hopefully reach the greater number in the parish. I'd like to thank We the People volunteers and members and the library staff who's also helped out quite a bit. And I'd like to just take a moment to recognize if we have any military veterans in the audience. If you do, would you just raise your hand? Thank you. Over there, thank you. And up here, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. We the People, just to be clear with some ground rules, we do not endorse or oppose any political candidate or party. Every effort will be made to keep the questions nonpartisan. And then we have invited, just so everybody knows, we've invited candidates from all 9 districts. Those who are not present here tonight either declined, did not respond, or they did confirm but weren't able to show up. Each candidate, this is so you guys know, each candidate will begin by having a 1-minute opening statement, just to kind of introduce yourself, if you would. And we have a timekeeper over here, Miss Sherry. She also is going to give you a 15-second before the end, so you know when to start wrapping up, all right? And then she has a little alarm when your minute is up there. We will conclude after the questions. We will give you 2 minutes each to wrap up any comments that you'd like to share, any things you'd like to say, where your focus is, however you want to handle that. Also, we have 1 microphone per table. So you'll have to share with the other candidates at the table. That way, everybody can be heard on TV as we broadcast. The responses are limited to 1 minute. And so I just want to remind you that. And of course, we want to be respectful of that so that everybody has an opportunity to share. We're going to begin with questions that are vetted by We the People and Bayou community. And also, we will follow. We've asked members of the audience if they have any questions that they'd like to submit. If you would write those down and then put them, hand them back to Sherry in the back, then we can get those vetted and hopefully be able to ask some of those as well. And then if I would ask the audience, you know, I know you want to rah-rah for your candidate, but if we could hold on to our applause until the forum is over, that way we give each candidate plenty of time to speak. So, oh yeah, I'd like to recognize those, Mr. Darren Guidry that's in the audience with the Parish Council. Thank you for being here. And is there anybody else that I'm missing? Very good. Okay, so we will begin then with District 1, Mr. Michael Lagarde. And you've got 1 minute, sir.
Hello, good evening. I'm happy to be here. My name is Michael Lagarde, and I am your District 1 representative. And why I am? Because I was elected 4 years ago and plan on being elected again. And why? Because I did what the people wanted, and I did what the students asked to be done. I'm not just a leader. I listen to the students and the people of District 1, and I know what they want, and I know what they need. So not just as a student, a teacher, a coach, as a student of politics, I know how politics work, but the most important for me is the students and the parents of District 1 and the employees of the school system. The school system's a $200 million a year budget, and it's just not about educating, it's about people as well. So that's why I'm running to make sure our students are first, but the people of the system are first and the parents are good. So my name is Mike Lagarde, your representative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lagarde. Next from District 2, we have Alicia Dove.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia Louise Dove. I was born and raised in Houma, Louisiana. I grew up on Lebanon Street. I now reside on Hobson Street. I have a bachelor's of science in supervision and management. I also have an associate in paralegal and associate in accounting. I believe that the board's interaction with the parents and the superintendent should be encouraging transparency in the school board. I also believe that to make sure there's a clear articulation of things that are going on in the school. So I'm hoping to change things. I moved back 2 years ago, and the school still looked the same when I left. So I'm hoping to try to change things for the students and bring the parents into the school board. So my number is 62. I hope y'all vote for it.
Thank you so much. Next, in District 3, we have Mr. Matthew Ford.
Good evening, guys. My name is Matthew Ford. I live by a strict code of God, country, family. That is, I put God first in everything I do, followed by my country, then my family. I'm not going to talk about what I can do or what I want to do because I've been doing the job for 4 years now. What I will tell you is, as an educator myself, one of my teaching philosophies is this. If you want a man to build a boat, you don't simply instruct him on the methods of boat building. Rather, you instill in him the desire to be on the water. Our job as educators, even on this board, our responsibility is to inspire those that want to learn, that want to be resourceful, that want to do. We are nothing more than a vessel for those people. We're here because we represent. I represent District 3. These others represent their own individual districts, but we all represent Terrebonne Parish. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a little housekeeping. If you would hold the mic a little closer to your mouth. I know we're not all used to doing that, but that way we're sure to be able to pick you up. Next in District 4, Mr. Jack Spetto.
Good afternoon. My name is Jack Spatto. Looking around, I'm probably not your typical school board candidate. I am a little young, 20 years old. I attend Nicholls State University. I'm majoring in political science with a concentration in pre-law. And I think we need to focus on policy over politics. I got in this race because I truly believe in our teachers, our support staff, and our students. And we need to focus on student proficiency, universal pre-K, and mental health resources. I think those are huge issues that need to be addressed now. And why wait 4 more years? We can do it now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next in District 4, Ms. Debbie Benoit.
Good evening, everyone. I've served the school board for 12 years now, and my motto.
A little closer to the mic, thank you.
Can you hear me now? My motto then continues to be the same today. I want to serve you, to be a voice for your children. I believe that my education, work, and service experiences in the community prove that I'm the most qualified candidate in District 4. I'm the Director of Research at Nichols State University, which simply means that I work with faculty to secure their grants and negotiate contracts for Nichols on behalf of the university. I also write special project grants. I've had that role for over 20 years. Previously, I served in the Terrebonne Parish school system as a grant writer, and then before that as Director of Development for St. Bernadette School. I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business and Economics from Nichols. I have a graduate concentration in Program Evaluation from UNO, and I want to serve you as your school board member.
Thank you. Next, we have District 5, Mr. George Don Crowdis Jr.
Good evening, everyone. So, yes, my name is George Don Crowdis, and I am a husband, I'm a father, and I'm a grandfather. I'm also a United States Air Force veteran, served 4 years active and 4 years reserve. Currently, my day job is at Shelburne Medical Center, where I've been a CRNA, or a nurse anesthetist, where I do anesthesia, and been doing that for about the last 26 years. Over the last 10 or 15 years or so, I've started to kind of see, and I pay attention to politics a little bit, and I began to see sort of a disconnect between the politicians that were elected and the people that they served. And as I began to see that, I started to say, well, maybe it's time for me to stop talking about things and maybe try to actually do something and try to help make a difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And next, also District 5, Ms. Wanda Ruffin-Triggs.
Hi, my name is Wanda Ruffin-Triggs. My greatest qualification for this job is that I am a parent of 3 children, 31, 22, and 8. I'm currently the parent of a 3rd grader that is in school. So I do understand some of the hardships that parents are having dealing with programs, dealing with teachers, dealing with the school system. I've been an avid watcher, participant in the school system as a child advocate and advocate for children with special needs. I've attended many IEPs and tried to encourage education for parents about how to navigate through the special education system. I think that I'm appropriate for the school board District 5 seat because I've been in this fight for a long time, and I'm willing to serve.
Thank you. Next, District 6, Mr. Clyde Hamner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Clyde Hamner. It's been a privilege to represent District 6 during my first term on the Terrebonne Parish School Board. Furthermore, I'm proud to have been honored by the Louisiana School Boards Association with the distinction of outstanding new school board member, and to have the Republican endorsement for the school board. During my first term on the school board, many of my original goals have been achieved, such as the creation of a long-range facilities master plan, the building of the new wing at Ballberry, and further in the formation of partnerships with the Chamber and the other members of the business community, Fletcher, Nichols, and Lumcon. As chairman of the Finance Committee these past 4 years, we've kept a balanced budget, initiated cost efficiencies, and maintained a healthy fund balance. With 4 years of experience as a board member, a 33-year career in education, a background in school finance, as well as my involvement in community, I have the edge to do what is needed for our school system. I look forward to being able to serve District 6 one more time.
Thank you very much. Also in District 6, Ms. Pamela Mae.
My name is Pam Mae. I'm running for a District 6 seat. I retired this school year, this past year in June. I spent 36 years in education. And in those 36 years, I think I have a pretty diverse background. I was a teacher in different subjects from mathematics, PE, elementary education, special education. I also coached for 15 years, and I served as a school counselor for 22 years. I've seen a lot of different things in education in those 36 years, so I do have a lot of background. And because of the background that I have, I was asked by many agencies to present educational materials. I presented educational materials to TITA, Home of Terrebonne Rotary Club, Skills USA, the Homer Chamber, and also Nichols State Counseling classes. I'm interested in helping students. I never thought I'd be doing this, but I do see that we need some changes, and I'm ready to work hard for those changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then in District 8, Mr. Ernest Charles Brown, Sr.
My name is Ernest Charles Brown. I have worked in the Terrebonne Parish school system for over 33 years, retired, came back to work, currently substituting. I can't get enough of students. My philosophy is that we educate all students at all schools and in all communities. I'm a graduate of Terrebonne High School. I went to North Iowa for 2 years. I'm a graduate of LSU, Louisiana State University. I've taught, I've coached, I've been an assistant principal, I've been a principal, and I've been a supervisor in the Terrebonne Parish school system. The philosophy of education is to educate everybody to be productive citizens in the community. If we can educate our community can be a better place to live and a better place to bring up our children. Again, I'm running for District 8 and hope you support me in this election. Thank you.
Thank you. And we had a late arrival, Ms. Sherry Champagne in District 3. You have 1 minute to just give a little introduction of yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Sherry Champagne, or Champagne on this side of Highway 90. So I have been in the school system for about 30 years. I am the founder and director of You Be the Change, anti-bullying and child advocacy organization. And so I've also been involved in the school board for many years, and I've seen the direction that the school board has gone. And I feel like that we need a drastic change in order to fix what is happening. And so I figured that if I threw in my hat and I did my best and did everything that I feel like needs to be changed, that I can help do that. And in doing so, I have grandchildren in the school system now. I've raised my children in the school system. I've been in the school system for many years, and therefore I thought that doing this would be something that would be the only way that I could actually get involved and make a difference.
Thank you so much. And now we'll begin with our first question. And just again, so that everybody knows, every candidate will answer the same question. So if going down the line you need me to repeat the question, if you just let me know, I'll be glad to repeat it for you. And we'll begin with you, Mr. Lagarde, but the question that was submitted first is, do you support a parent's rights to know what their child is being taught in the classroom and to opt out of sex education, surveys, immunizations, in-school counseling, or health care? Please explain.
Well, yes, I support the parent rights. And as we not policies and procedures, parents have the right to do that as we go. They have the right to opt out of certain things. As a parent can opt in certain things, a parent have the right. So I do believe in being transparent as a school board member. And as a school board member, some of the things I push for the board to be more transparency. So yes, the parents have rights, and I think most parents should get involved. And if you can read some of my past statements in the newspaper, I believe parents should be involved in curriculum and stuff like that instead of just sports. So I do believe in parents opting out of anything, or I believe in parents. I know now with new safety issues and everything, the parents can't come to the school like they used to, but I believe students and parents should be involved in the school, should be transparent, that parents can opt out of certain things. Not a problem with me.
All right, Ms. Dove, District 2, same question. Don't forget the microphone and hold it close to your mouth. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, I'll be glad to. And don't take this off of her time. Do you support a parent's rights to know what their child is being taught in the classroom and to opt out of sex education, surveys, immunizations, in-school counseling, or health care? Please explain.
So our children go to school 8 hours a day. So I believe a school system should be dual parenting, because if when they go to school for 8 hours, then they'll come home. If we're both on the same page, then we're doing the same thing. As far as opting out, I believe that is a parent's choice. However, sometimes you need the parent's answer to make sure that we're all on the same page. So if they opt out, that some will agree and then some won't. So I think that they should participate 100%. There should not be an opt-out.
All right, thank you. In District 3, Ms. Sherry Champagne.
So currently, I believe, obviously, that there should be an obvious opt-out. We have absolutely zero transparency right now with the school system. Currently, I am waiting for multiple public records requests that have been denied in order to get the sexual education and all of the other curriculum materials, and they've been denied. So we obviously have an issue with transparency. It is crucial that we have transparency for parents to understand what curriculum their children are actually subjected to in our schools. And right now, we absolutely do not have that. And I think that if we do not have an opt-out, then every child is subjected to the sexually explicit material that is going on in our schools. And parents do not have an option to see that material because they are denied that transparency. And so I'm hoping to change that immediately once I'm elected.
Thank you very much. And in District 3, Mr. Ford, please.
So, of course, I support...
Mike, a little bit closer to you. Thank you.
Of course, I support the notion of parents knowing and being well aware of what is in the curriculum and what they're studying. And I also support the idea of them being able to opt out, just as though I support the idea of them being able to opt out of things such as vaccinations and these other things that are considered mandatory. But I will say this, we are, as an education system, when students are on our campus, we are in operis locos parentis, right? Which means in lieu of the parents. So there are times when we have to act as parents in the school system, but that doesn't mean we should be making decisions on behalf of those parents. It only means in situations where we need to give care and support to those students, not teach them something that they should be learning at home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Same question, District 4, Mr. Badeau.
So I would say yes and yes. Parents are entitled to know what's being taught to their children, and they're entitled to opt out of vaccines if they please. I think that should be a foundational principle across the board to choose what's being taught to your child, and I think we need to follow through on that.
Thank you so much. And also District 4, Ms. Debbie Benoit.
Thank you. First of all, I believe in the Constitution and our Bill of Rights, and I believe that all of those allow us to make that information available to us because of that. As far as curriculum is concerned, I'm hoping I rely on parents and the community to let us know if there's anything in the classrooms that they are in disagreement with and bring that to the board so that we would find out about it. As far as sex ed and health care and counseling and shots, none of those things are mandated. Those are opting out elements of part of what we do in the schools. So no one actually has to do any of those. So absolutely, parents should opt out if they don't agree with it.
Thank you so much. Next, District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
So for me, this question sort of reminds me of something that a guy wrote a long time ago, Mr. Thomas Jefferson, to me, this is a question that has self-evident truth in it. Almost obviously, the parents should have the right to know what their kids are being taught. That might be part of the reason why some of the school systems are in the conditions that they're in, is because the transparency hasn't been there and parents haven't been involved. So that self-evident truth also goes over to the opting out of surveys, of immunizations, of different type of sexual material, et cetera, et cetera. Absolutely 100%.
Thank you. Also, District 5, Ms. Wanda.
Yes, I believe that the parents shouldn't have the right to know what their children are learning. I saw Ms. Champagne said that she had made some FERPA requests. I got something sitting on the desk somewhere since 2016, or I guess I'm still waiting to be granted, so don't look for that. And that's been a problem. And so if I'm elected, that's one of the things that I would definitely be concerned about changing, because I never want any parent to experience the tone deafness that I experienced by board members that just were not willing to hear the things that I was concerned about with my child's education. I will never treat anyone the way some of the board members have treated me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. District 6, Mr. Hamner.
Well, my answer is yes. I do support a parent's right to know what their child is being taught in the classroom and to opt out of sex ed, surveys, immunizations, and school counseling or health care. I believe it's the right of every parent to feel confident and comfortable in what is being taught to their children, and to be sure it aligns to their core beliefs.
Thank you very much. Also, District 6, Ms. Maye.
Absolutely, everyone should have the right to make choice. You have choices that you need to make for your child. You should know your child the best, so choices that you make are to benefit your children. In our process, as far as when I've been in the school system, we have given papers out to parents, to the students to bring home so that they could opt out of sex ed or opt out of anything that we needed to have parent permission for. So there should be forms that should be sent home, and you should make sure that your child is bringing those forms home so that you can know what's going on. And as far as the curriculum, I think the curriculum should be online. We have technology, so technology should take place where we should, be able to view any curriculum online at this point.
Thank you. District 8, Mr. Brown.
What I found out is that parents and teachers and school system is a partnership. Parents should have the right to know what's going on in the classroom, but they also have to be involved in the kids' education. You cannot expect education to take place if the parent at home is not involved in their kid's education and not motivating that kid to come to school prepared to learn. The curriculum has been posted on the internet. The curriculum is available for any parent to look at. If there is any problems with the curriculum, the parent needs to make that known to the school principal and the school system in order to get that changed. Louisiana is low in every category, and education is important, and we have to educate to the best of our ability. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We want to start, this time we're going to start with District 2, so that Mr. Lagarde doesn't have to be the first one on every question. All right. The second question we have is, and it's a long one, so please bear with me. Often, special needs parents who must rely on the public school more than anyone have the most contentious relationships with the school and district personnel. The process of evaluating the individual needs of each child carries a significant amount of emotion and stress for both parents and teachers. There have even been occasions where emotional and physical abuse accusations have been made in both directions. What do you think our district can do to better climate the relationship between staff and parents? What can we do to prevent fractures in these relationships, to prevent undue stress on the children, and to reassure the parents that the child is safe in your care? And we'll begin with Ms. Dove, District 2.
I worked years ago with TARC. So special needs children are very, very hard to, they're not as a regular child. So their needs are much more than a regular student that attends school. As everyone said, participation with the parent was very important in that. Every step of the way, as far as knowledge, letting them know what process and what treatment we were doing to make sure their education was met up to the standards. So the communication, I believe, is really a big thing with that. But as far as special needs children, there was a few classes that I taught that communications of the teachers towards them were not. So I think we need to implement a plan.
All right, thank you. Ms. Champagne, also District 3, Ms. Champagne.
So I think communication and observation. So observation, I believe we should already have cameras in every single classroom for special ed, including the other classrooms as well. But we also need a really intense communication between teachers, parents, and inclusively everyone. But I find that if we have cameras in the classroom, we can eliminate all of those accusations of abuse or neglect on both sides. So if we implement cameras in each classroom for starting with the special ed, obviously, and we can graduate to the other classrooms and things like that. But mostly we're told that we don't have cameras in the classroom because of funding. But we've raked in millions of dollars in funding. So there's no reason that we do not have cameras in the classroom and complete communication between parents and teachers, school board, superintendent, and whatnot. So I think that that's very important that we have an observation, which would start obviously with cameras in the classroom.
Thank you very much. District 3, Mr. Ford.
Ironically, I am a special needs teacher. I teach significant disabilities at Thibodeau High, and I spend 8 hours a day with kids with special needs, and I have over 100 text messages over the last 3 days, between myself and parents. So we are in constant communication from 0640 in the morning when my students get off the bus till 2:40 in the afternoon when my last student's older brother picks him up after leaving school at E.D. White. I am with special needs kids. I don't have a break. I don't get time. I'm with them the entire day. However, just this past week, we had a meeting during our professional development. And 10 minutes into the meeting, I never heard one thing about the students. All I heard about was IEPs, evaluations, progress reports, all the bureaucratic process that goes along with it. I kind of lost my cool, and I said a few things that maybe made some people upset. I want to know how those students are doing. I want to know how you're loving on them. I want to know how they're loving on you. That's where the focus should be.
Thank you,
not
sir.
the bureaucratic process.
Thank you. And District 4, Mr. Badeau, same question.
I would say that there needs to be open dialogue between the parent and teachers. When it comes to special needs students, there is it is more sensitive because a parent is definitely concerned about their child, particularly in those classrooms. Now, in terms of allegations of abuse or whatever, that's definitely, there's no room for that, and that's a case-by-case basis. It needs to be handled to the fullest extent. In terms of cameras in classrooms, I would say depending on the school and the situation or whatever unfolded, we could look into that. And if funding's needed, we would apply funding there. But overall, I think that the main issue is communication between parents and teachers. There has to be open dialogue, even within administration, because we need a mediator there to talk about the issues happening in the classroom. So I would like to see a strong administration present in that dialogue.
All right, thank you so much. Also, District 4, Ms. Benoit.
Yes, I agree with what most of the candidates have said. Communication is the key here. And of course, each child has an IEP that has an outline basically of how they're to be taught And the parents are aware of this, and if there's a problem, I think the talking with the teacher, and if that doesn't work, I always recommend the chain of command. You go to the next highest level and the next highest level until, if you have to, you get to the board and you get to the superintendent and you get this straight. I believe everything can be resolved with communication, but it has to be pushed through from the parent in the beginning until it gets to where it's resolved in the end.
Thank you, ma'am. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
Okay. So my youngest daughter is a special needs teacher in the Baton Rouge area. And the idea of cameras, at first, I wasn't quite sure about it. But after speaking with her, she kind of let me in on a few things. And I think cameras now would be a good idea. My understanding is that come January of 2023, they're going to be required by law anyway. They won't be live cameras, because that can change the interaction between the teacher and the student if a teacher knows that she or he is always being seen. But there'll be cameras where you can actually go back and you can look at something if a situation happens. And I do love what I'm hearing from everyone on this panel here with the talk of communication between teachers, parents, administrators. That is going to help solve a lot of our educational issues. And I think that's a right track to be on.
Thank you, Mr. Crowdis. Yes, and District 5, Ms. Triggs.
So I have a son that's 22 that has Down syndrome and autism. So this is my hotbed and this is my heart right here. There's an IEP, an individual education plan. The first thing, follow the law. It's real easy. The law, 1508, 504, they've given us.
A little bit closer to your mouth.
They've given us what our rights are. Teacher trainings. I've sat in way too many IEPs where teachers don't really understand what special ed is and the services they're supposed to be providing. Parent trainings. Our parish is one of the only parishes that the school system doesn't offer parent trainings to teach the parents about IEPs. I've gone into many parent trainings, but I learned all I learned in other parishes. Cameras in the classrooms, a superintendent who understands our needs, monies appropriately dispensed, stop protecting bad behavior, and make our services accessible.
Thank you so much. District 6, Mr. Hamner.
I'm not going to ask you to repeat it.
I don't mind. If you'd like me to, I'd be glad to.
Yeah. When it comes to education of our special needs students, it's not a plan. It's not a procedure. Education of our special needs students is not a piece of equipment. It doesn't matter how much money you throw at it. It's a mindset. It's a partnership that has to be made between parents and the school and has to be implemented in every stage of what we do for these children. I'm pleased to say that in my career in education, I've worked with a number of special needs students. They're beautiful people, and I'm pleased with the success that we've had with them because my mindset, as I said, was for that kid.
Thank you. District 6, Ms. Maye.
Part of the problem that I saw in special education is we haven't had certified teachers in special education. Special education has been the final hire for a principal. Whoever's left, you're placed in there, and that's a problem. If we don't change that and find certified teachers, we're going to continue to have issues because the teachers who are in those positions have never written an IEP, have never understood the laws, and they don't understand the laws, and they don't understand what they should be doing. They're just regular certified teachers. They're not special education teachers. So that has been a big problem until we stop thinking of that class as an afterthought, and whoever's left over gets it. We're going to continue to see problems. So we have to make a change in that. We really do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, District 8.
Our students are the priority in any classroom that we have. Protecting them is the first priority. Providing them with an equal and educated classroom is the second priority. The partnership between parents and teachers and the school would be the third aspect of where we need to come from. In order to make this stuff work, we have to push the importance of protecting our kids in the environment that they are put in and making sure that we follow all procedures, rules, and regulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Mr. Lagarde, District 1.
I don't know if you realize this. It's the procedures and policies. And in this parish, we have a real good special ed department. Now, do we have problems? Yes. We one of the only parishes that have SEC school that housed on the Abbeys that serve severe profound kids. And special need kids, special ed kids go to all 4 of our high schools. So we have an excellent program in the parish and we have excellent teachers. Now, do we have problems? Of course we have problems. Now, like someone had said earlier, we will start having cameras to watch. And it's not just watching teachers, guys. The cameras to watch the whole situation, that if anything going, because if you never worked in a severe profound class and you see stuff, you don't know what's going on. As a severe profound teacher, counselor, I have seen it all. So, but the thing, we do have to protect those kids. And the first thing with those kids at those schools is environment and protection, then education, because their education is not the same as a regular ed kid. And you have to know what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, we will begin with District 3, Ms. Champagne. And the question now is, what is your position on school choice and charter schools? For those who are in favor of school choice, would that include vouchers that could be used for private schools and not just public? And how would you envision this being applied?
So yes, I believe that one of the primary ways of ensuring that our public school system gets it together is to implement a charter school program and or an alternative, which would be a voucher or something like that. So we are going to need that at this point because we do have a large majority of parents that are pulling their children out of public schools. And we have a large number of parents that are homeschooling. We have a large number of parents who cannot afford for their child to go to private school, but they're doing it. And so we do need an alternative to the actual public school system if the public school system is not going to get it together and do what the parents want instead of what the politicians and the school board seems or deems necessary for their child. So I do believe that that would be an alternative, and yes, it would be effective if we actually do implement that.
Thank you. District 3, Mr. Ford.
I've never really been a proponent of school choice, only because my experience has been limited to Houma, Louisiana, Thibodaux, Terrebonne, Lafourche, Assumption,
A
Central.
little bit closer, please. Thank you.
So school choice happens a lot in more urban settings, in areas where there's a very diverse group and very high concentration of students that are being neglected or sent to another school, maybe bused one way or the other. I'm not really a proponent of school choice, but that's because here in Terrebonne Parish, I don't think it's necessary. If we were in a different area, I may think it's necessary. I do like the idea of vouchers, however, if there is charter school systems in the area, but we have several private schools, and we have plans, hopefully in the future, for Terrebonne Parish to create newer schools that are magnet schools for gifted students and special needs kids. So I don't think school choice is the answer. I like what we have going on here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And District 4, Mr. Badeau.
So in terms of charter schools, I do support that. I know in Nichols, there's a Max Charter, and they specialize with like dyslexia and like learning disabilities of that regard. And it really does help. I have cousins who went there, family who's going there, friends.
A little bit closer with the thing.
Friends' children. And they absolutely love it because they have hands-on with their children. Now, school vouchers, taxpayer money going to fund private schools, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with school choice in that sense. Now, if you choose to send your child to a charter school for learning disabilities, that's one thing. But I don't agree to send your child to a private school on the taxpayer dime.
All right, thank you very much. District 4, Ms. Benoit.
I'll have to echo what Mr. Ford has said. I don't think that school choice is necessarily needed in our parish. Charter schools are a good thing, and I've seen them work both here. We had a dyslexic school in Terrebonne Parish at one time, which was a sort of a charter school. And those students that need special services because of a particular condition thrive in those types of schools. And I think there's a place for that. But as far as vouchers, I'm not sure that that's really needed here.
All right, thank you very much. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
So what I will say is that I do support school choice and allowing parents to be able to send their child to the school of their choice. I think there's a cautionary tale here, though, with when you start getting into that, because for some reason, the federal government seems to think that when they give a state back a portion of the state's money to begin with, that they get to tell you everything that you're supposed to do with that money. So I think there's a cautionary tale with school choice. I would love to have parents be able to send their kids to the school of their choice, but then I would also be leery about the ties and the strings that would come from the federal government with that.
Thank you very much. District 5, Ms. Triggs. Don't take that off for time.
So my concern with school choice, I do think that people should have school choice. My only concern with school choice is that the regular public school will not be maintained, that they will not, once we have so many people and so much money going to other private schools, then people will not maintain the public school system. But as I've learned, we already have somewhat of school choice in our school system because we have special needs children that the special education department in our parish was not providing them the services that their IEP called for, and these parents transferred their children to a private school, which is what 1508 says they must do, and Terrebonne Parish already pays the tuition for those students to go to those schools. So with regard to that, we already have school choice for some students. I just think that it should be the same choice for everybody.
Thank you very much. District 6, Mr. Hamner.
Okay. Well, first of all, school choice has really been around since the 1800s when the first Catholic priest came to Louisiana and started the first Catholic schools. So, yeah, I believe in school choice, whether it's charter schools, Catholic schools, Christian schools, homeschooling, etc. Every parent has the right, as I said before, to feel comfortable with what aligns to their core beliefs, and it's important to recognize that all children learn differently, and vibrant communities need a variety of educational settings where our children can learn.
Thank you very much, sir. District 6, Ms. Maye.
I agree with choice as well because I feel not every kid fits in every peg that we try to put them in. There are kids that don't fit in certain atmospheres, and so if they can go to another school where there's maybe something offered like a magnet or a charter, they may fit better in the arts. In New Orleans, they have their own type of art school, so some kids may not fit in a regular setting. I'm not sure how it's going to fit in our parish because, we're so strong on athletics, and when you mess with athletics where kids get choice to go to schools, then you have problems with recruiting. So not sure how that would fit, but I'm totally for kids having the right to go wherever they fit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. District 8, Mr. Brown.
Well, I think there is choice in Terrebonne Parish. I think you have a choice to go to a Catholic school, a parochial school, a private school, but I'm a public school advocate. I think we have some excellent schools in Terrebonne Parish. My concern is the schools that are not excellent, the ones that are low performing, the ones that are not providing the quality education. I think those schools, kids should have a choice to leave that school and go somewhere else. But we have some schools that are A, B ranked schools that are doing the job education it has. But if the school has notoriously and historically not provided the education and has scored D's and F's in that school setting, then I think that kid and that parent should have the opportunity to leave that school. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And District 1, Mr. Lagarde.
Well, you know, I have to pick up where Mr. Brown left off. Now, unfortunately, in my district,
A little closer with your mic, sir.
in my district, District 1, we should have a school choice thing because my schools are the lowest schools and the D schools and the F schools, and they've been like that the last 20 years. And I haven't seen anybody talk about school choice when it comes to those schools. So if we want to talk about school choice, let's look at the D schools and the F schools, and let's look at that. Now, you want school choice? Go right there to New Orleans and look at the charter schools. Now, after the Katrina, the storm, the schools went to crap. If you look at these schools, the public school is where we need. We need to fund it in the public schools, and we need to make the public money better. Do we have good schools? Yes. But is all school in Terrebonne Parish good? No. We are A-B district, but not all the schools are A-B district. Let's go to District 1. You want to see some schools to work on? Come see me. I'll take you some schools. If you really want to see school choice, call me.
Thank you very much. District 2, Ms. Dub.
I believe we should have charter schools. I believe that every student has different needs. I also believe that every school in Terrebonne Parish should be equal with amenities, teaching, everything. So, but I do believe if a parent and a child disagrees with the school, they should be able to go to any school, whether it be private or public.
Thank you very much. The next round of questions will begin with District 4, Mr. Vidal, and the question is, a vast majority of people in our community are aware of the federal government overreach coming out of Washington, D.C., such as the proposed Title IX rule change, which could result in boys and girls bathrooms and girls and boys bathrooms. Do you see this as a federal overreach? If not, please explain. If yes, please give specific examples of what you would be willing to do in the case of such federal overreach.
So I would say that it is a federal overreach. It should be up to states to decide whether or not they want that policy change. I think our state's been pretty clear on where they stand on that issue. And I think to mitigate the issue of having boys and girls bathrooms, you have a third alternative. If you're uncomfortable going into them, to the boys or girls, when we have a gender neutral bathroom, and some schools already have that. And you go in there and, you know, it's fine. So I do think it is a federal overreach, but I think there are ways around that to make everyone comfortable, because no parent wants to have their child go into a restaurant that they feel uncomfortable with them going into. But we also have to protect the trans children, how they feel. So a third alternative would be perfect for both parties.
Thank you very much. And in District 4, Ms. Debbie Benoit.
I definitely believe that it's federal overreach. That's just one area where it has been. We've seen others as well. I definitely would never vote, always be opposed to Terrebonne Parish accepting girls or boys that think they're girls to be in the girls' bathroom. This is totally wrong. Although I do think that there should be options, and I think that that should be stated somewhere so that everyone's clear about what they can do, whether they need to go to a gender-neutral bathroom as opposed to going into either girls or boys. But it has to be part of something stated within the state so that we can all follow the same rules. Thank you.
Thank you so much. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
So yes, I do believe that it is an overreach. And I'll kind of pick up where I left off earlier regarding what happens when monies are tied to the federal government. So this new Title IX thing, the federal government tied it to lunch money, so that if school districts did not enact this particular, what it was an expansion of the definition of Title IX. So Title IX has been around since 1972. What it was designed to do was to level the playing field between sexes. girls and boys sports. And they've expanded it to include gender identity, et cetera, et cetera. But what they also did was they said, if you don't do this, we will take away lunch money from your lunch money to feed the kids. And so that's where we get into these issues of overreach. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. District 5 also, Ms. Triggs.
Okay, so with regarding the statement about federal overreach, well, what are you going to do about the federal government if they give a law and we are citizens, we must follow the law? But I like boys and girls bathrooms or girls and boys bathrooms, perhaps no. But like Mr. Vado said, a gender neutral bathroom is something that's not an issue here. It's something that is, as I understand it, all of our high school and junior high schools right now already have available. So I just don't think that those are issues really that the school should have to deal with. But should it come down from the federal government, what exactly could we do? So I would say that, you know, we are still going to have to follow it, whatever way it comes down. That's my answer to that.
Thank you so much. District 6, Mr. Hamner.
Well, as a Republican, I'm an advocate for constitutional educational policy, not federal mandates. The government has no place to force people or organizations by mandates, especially transgender federal mandates. That's unconstitutional, plain and simple, and it has no place in our society or our schools.
Thank you very much, sir. District 6, Ms. Maye.
Definitely believe that we shouldn't infringe on the rights of many for, you know, the few. And in the case that we're talking about, you know, that's what's happening. But I can tell you in the 22 years that I served as a school counselor, we have been giving kids separate bathrooms since then. We didn't need this mandate to come down to say that we need to do this. We've had kids with irritable bowel syndrome that cannot go in a regular bathroom with the rest of the public, and we give them a separate bathroom. You know, whatever we have to do to accommodate kids to be comfortable, we do. You know, so that we didn't need a mandate to say that it needed to be done. It's been done. Like I said, I've been in school counseling for 22 years, and we've done it way past that. Thank you.
Thank you. District 8, Mr. Brown.
The issue should be addressed on a school-by-school basis or individual basis. As a person, I am not an advocate for boys using girls' bathroom and girls using boys' bathroom. But I believe that a better educated society where parents, the church, and the citizens are involved in will make a better educated decision in allowing our kids to see what opportunities there are and not make the decisions that would enforce them to be confused, I guess.
Thank you so much. District 1, Mr. Lagarde.
Some people don't realize this is not a new problem. Like Ms. Maye said, for years we've been having different sexes bathrooms in the school the last 20 years. Because remember, the majority of special ed students can't use a regular bathroom, and they've been having bathrooms for them. So it's not a new issue. I think people are looking at it and pulling parts of the law to fit their own personal benefit. But I don't think the law was meant for boys or girls to go in the same bathroom. And if you look at the designs of any new school being built, the bathrooms are bathrooms. They could serve a boy or girl. They're not gender-based bathrooms in any new modern school being built across the country. So I don't think that'll be a big issue. And is the government overreaching? No, because if the government didn't overreach, a lot of us in here wouldn't have went to school. So I do believe in the federal government overreaching. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. District 2, Ms. Dove.
I think the government is definitely overreaching. I also think children are going for an education. So they're already confused about life growing up. And I believe if girls can go in a boys' bathroom and boys can go in a girls', I think it would really do a lot of confusion that the kids don't need.
All right, thank you very much. District 3, Ms. Champagne.
Absolutely, 100%, the government is overreaching in our schools. Without a doubt, we see it every single day. Currently in Terrebonne Parish, we are actually teaching transgender, gender identity-based curriculum. This curriculum has been refused to be provided. And when I say curriculum, I'm talking about the material, the videos, and things like that, that they are showing children in the classrooms. So when the federal government overreaches and they say boys can go in the girls' bathroom, but girls can go in the boys' bathroom, that's just kind of like a shade over the actual events that they are pushing, the funding that they are forcing on the parish or any other school district, that if they take this money, then therefore they accept whatever comes with that. And then once they accept it, they have to do whatever comes with accepting those funds. And if that's boys in the girls' bathroom, then they're okay with that. And that's one of the things that we absolutely have to prevent from happening any further than it is right now.
Thank you very much. District 3, Mr. Ford.
Is it overreach? Yes. Are we working on it? Yes. We've already said, like Ms. Maye said, like Mike said, we've already been dealing with this for 20 plus years. Every high school has a bathroom that students have the choice to go to. What I'm concerned with is when you have certain students only being seen going to that restroom. It's just like the kid who has a problem in class. He doesn't know the answer, but you get called out on. The other students see it. So if a select group of students is allowed to use this unisex bathroom, I think everyone should be allowed for whatever reason it is, but it needs to be provided by the schools. There's a lot that goes into this, and Title IX is something that I was hoping I'd never have to deal with again because I dealt with a lot in grad school. But like Mr. Crowder said, this wasn't originally intended for athletics to equal the level of the playing field. And now it's turned into something ugly, something we don't need. Let's go, Brandon.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll begin with District 5. We've got some questions from the audience. The first question that we have from the audience to share tonight is what about consolidation of East Side schools? And I think Ms. Berg is the one who asked this question. Yeah, did you have a particular point on that you wanted to ask?
Well, yes. My children didn't attend public school in Terrebonne Parish, but I am a product of Terrebonne Parish schools. And I grew up in Ukiah, so I am from the Bayou. And I see this opportunity with the new schools, with the schools and the conditions that they're in down the Bayou. I really think this is an opportunity for the East Side to really do something for the education of our children down there, that it's not going to cost us as much because the federal government and FEMA is going to be putting up monies to build these schools. And I understand everybody wants a school on the Bayou. Hey, I'm from Ukiah, I get it. I grew up in a school, I went to a school that's no longer there. It's gone. So I think it would bring the community back together on the East Side. When I went to high school, there was one high school on the East Side. That was South Terrebonne. When I graduated, we had 437 kids that graduated from that high school. The entire East Side of Houma went to that high school. And it should be like that again. That way you don't have the division of the bayous. Everybody gets to meet everybody. You're not just with your bayou or your side of town. Everybody comes in together to go to school. And I think it should be universal for all the grades. You have the opportunity right now to really build something on the east side of Houma that you can bring further up. You don't have to worry about flooding. You can build it around Thompson Road, build a state-of-the-art high school, state-of-the-art junior high, middle school, elementary, kindergarten. It can all be in one big complex. And that way you have everything under control in one complex.
So, Ms. Berg, just to qualify, your question is, would you consider building one high school?
Consolidating everything on the east side.
Is that,
Bring it all together, build new schools.
okay,
For everybody has to come to town, or everybody meets in the middle.
okay.
You ride a bus.
All right, good. Let's let them have a chance to answer that then. All right, and Mr. Crowder, District 5, we're going to start with you. Yes.
Ooh, that was, let me see here. So, so to answer your basic question, would we consider it? The short answer to your question is sure, it would be a consideration. But there are a lot of variables that are going to have to be looked at, determined. You mentioned FEMA money. There's a caveat to the FEMA money. My understanding is that FEMA doesn't just come give Terrebonne Parish School District, whatever, $100 million and say, go build new schools. Terrebonne Parish School District has to borrow that money, and then FEMA decides when or if they're going to give it back for these schools. So, yes, would consider it, but there are a lot of factors and variables that we would have to get information to in the meantime.
All right, thank you very much. Also, District 5, Ms. Triggs.
I think it's an awesome idea when we think of the financial aspect of it. When we think of the cultural aspect, in my opinion, it's never going to happen. These people are not leaving the bayou. They're not leaving their culture. I can't rightly say that I blame them. But when I went to high school in Terrebonne Parish, I graduated in '87. 35 years ago from South Terrebonne, we were the only high school on the east side. I do understand it. There would be less to keep up. There would be less facilities to manage. It would be a new school for everybody, whatever. But as far as the people aren't. I watched the way they fight for Grand Coulee Elementary, LaCash. These people aren't leaving their areas, and I can't say I blame them, but I don't think that would happen.
Thank you so much. District 6, Mr. Hamner.
Ms. Berg, right? Yes. Well, I nominate you for Terrebonne Parish School Board because I agree 100% with everything you said, and yes, it's doable. We could definitely do that. We could take South Terrebonne and Ellender, make them one big high school again. It wouldn't be much bigger right now. If we combine both right now, it would not be much bigger than H.L. Bourgeois, which is our largest high school. We could make Ellender a state-of-the-art middle school, or we could put on the land next to South Terrebonne that the school board bought several years back, we could bring Montague Middle and possibly LaCash there, have a state-of-the-art middle school, 5 through 8, and turn Montague Middle into a pre-K to 4. It's doable, and FEMA will help us pay for it.
Thank you. District 6, Ms. Maye.
I agree also, it's doable. To me, it doesn't make sense at all to have Eleanor and South Terrebonne, because you go in some subdivisions and you have kids waiting on the bus and they have an Eleanor shirt and a South Terrebonne shirt and they're in the same subdivision. It doesn't make sense. So why not have a state-of-the-art one school? You know, I'm hoping that happens, you know, that the board could really look at that and say, you know, this should be done, you know, so we'll see where it goes, but I agree.
Thank you so much. District 8, Mr. Brown.
A state-of-the-art high school, junior high, middle school, I would be an advocate for. Diversity is the issue with me. There's only 20% Black people in Terrebonne Parish. Schools should reflect what the parish looks like. It should not be a parish where there are 90% Black here and 80% Black here, or low-free, reduced lunch, poverty kids here. If society wants education to benefit Terrebonne Parish, then putting the teachers and the schools where kids can learn the best at is where I want. I'm an advocate for anything that is going to produce a well-educated kid. If it's not going to produce a well-educated kid, then let's stop doing what we're doing because evidently it is not working.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, District 1, Mr. Lagarde.
Ms. Bird, can you repeat the question? No, I'm just lying. Have you come to the school board, if you'd have came to probably a meeting before, we do have they did a facility studies, and we are combining some schools from down the bayou, not the highest schools. You know, we are going to build some schools, and it look like what's on the plan it's not been voted on yet, that by South Terrebonne, they're going to build a new junior high. And also, I think they're looking at putting the cash in the parking lot until they build. So they are doing some schools, but now as for two schools one school on the east side. Now, I'd heard that argument, and I'd heard it for sports. You know, it's like, hey, what about two schools? But we had that when I went to school. It was one school, and we didn't do nothing great. You know, so I think you got to remember class sizes, though. Making one big school, you're going to eliminate, you want smaller classrooms, and kids learn in smaller classroom in the culture and climate of the schools. Now, they're going to be racially diverse, but you want smaller size classrooms. That's the main thing.
Thank you, sir. District 2, Ms. Dove.
Anything's doable. Louisiana ranks 43 in our education system. So I believe that we should have about 15 students per class, which means we need more schools. It is a great idea, you know, everybody to be together. As far as diversification, I think that would cause a problem too. But it is doable. But like I said, we're ranked 43 out of 52 in our schools. So I think our kids need a better education so we can get a little bit higher and they can get a little bit smarter.
Thank you very much. District 3, Ms. Champagne.
So in a perfect world, that's a wonderful idea, and if it could be done, we would definitely do it. In a lot of cases, such as some of the schools and the community on the bayous, a couple of those schools, the funding was already allocated to build these schools or to rebuild these schools. And so that funding, wherever that is, that's, I think, in large part, a lot of these communities are upended because they feel like those schools should be rebuilt because there has been funding for those schools already. But then if we consolidated a couple schools, and it's possible, that would be a wonderful idea as well. So if we could do it, and we could give the communities that truly want their schools, that have had the funding allocated already, give them their schools as well, consolidate the schools that are we can possibly do that with, it's a great idea. And if we can do it, obviously that would be a wonderful idea, absolutely.
Thank you. District 3, Mr. Ford.
So we're unique in this region that we historically have built communities around our schools. And this has come up a lot recently because we've been dealing with Hurricane Ida and recovery thereof. There's a lot of people on both bayous, Grand Caillou, Bayou Terrebonne, down Berg, Montague, that are in opposition to this. And they've expressed that to me and the other board members. I think the idea in theory is a great idea, but I also would not want Ellender to lose their culture and their identity as Ellender. I would not want South Terrebonne to lose their culture and identity as South Terrebonne. You're either a Gator or you're a Patriot, just like you're either a Brave or you're a Tiger on the west side. Now, if we were situated a little more like Lafourche, where they have South, Central, and North, which Thibodeau High is really north, that would be a little different. But because we have a west side and an east side, it makes it a little harder. So,
thank you very much. District 4, Mr. Badeau.
So typically consolidation happens as a money saver. And I'm all for saving money and putting it back into the classroom. So I would support that plan. But I also like to see broad community support. So, and people are very tribal. And I say that as somebody coming from the Brave Reservation, you know, people love their high schools and they want them separate. But I see the point where you're talking at. We need, I think, to bring the community together more. And that'd be a perfect idea. So the funding would be there and we have broad community support. I see no reason not to pass that.
Thank you, sir. Also, District 4, Ms. Debbie Benoit.
Thank you. Ms. Berg, that is a really good idea. I like it. However, we have had a facility plan, a study that was done about 2 years ago and included 20-plus community members, businessmen, community members of all walks of life, and a few of the board members, as well as some of the support staff at the district. And we looked at every school in Terrebonne Parish as we studied this plan. We looked at the structure of the school. We had engineers with us. We looked at the number of students, the rating of the school. Many things were considered here. And we developed a plan as this community group. So we did have input from the community. And we used data to make decisions. And it's been very difficult because we've had those people from the communities coming to us, and it's very emotional. But we can't make decisions based on emotions or good ideas. We have to base it on data.
Thank you very much. Another question that we have from the audience this time, Mr. Hamner, we'll start with you. And it is, through the years, there has been a reduction of the number of required minutes of recess and physical education in our schools for increased instructional minutes. Some elementary students get a total of 20 minutes a day to go outside for unstructured play. How do you feel about this? Is it a positive or negative impact?
Well, not only that, when do the teachers go to the bathroom? I'm serious, folks. That was one of the worst decisions the state of Louisiana made and put on us in education. No downtime for the kids. You know, when I served as a principal, we rushed from class to class to the cafeteria to eat and hurry up and eat, and then get out into the yard where they barely had time to go to the bathroom, and then back to class. It's horrible. I'm totally against it. I'm for a minimum of 30 to 45 minutes a day of downtime, recess time. It's important for the growth and development of our children. Yes, we need good education, good classroom teachers, and my time's almost up, but boy, I could go on and on about that one.
Thank you so much. District 6, Ms. Maillet.
Agreed. We need, kids to have some downtime, and I think it's also good for their socialization, building, peer socialization. It also, as Mr. Hamner said, teachers need that break as well. It's like you're eating lunch on the run sometimes. So there has to be some downtime. You just can't continue to go from class to class to class.
Thank you so much. District 8, Mr. Brown.
So exactly what is the quality education? Quality education is giving the kids opportunities to do things at school that's going to make them a better person. We continue to be structured so much where you got first period, second period, third period, 5 minutes here to get here and do that. Has it worked? Has it been successful? No. So we need to find more time. Now, more time becomes more money. Does the parish, does the citizenship of Terrebonne Parish want to pay more money for education? Schools are 9 months, 180 days. Maybe schools need to be 210 days where kids can get a better education. Maybe we need to offer more programs which would allow kids to see different things. But time is a structured thing, and we've always done it the same way, where school is 8 to 5 or 8 to 2 or whatever, and that's it.
Thank you very much, sir. District 1, Mr. Lagarde.
Okay, guys, I don't think y'all understand something. The federal government regulates the instruction minutes a day of a school. The parish government or board don't sit there and describe the instructional minutes of a school.
A little closer to your mouth.
The instructional minutes are regulated by the federal government. We don't do that. Now, you have to look at something. Yes, I would like to see a kid have extra time, but you got 360 minutes a day. And if you got recess, you got to change the bus pickup, the school times. Parents don't want school coming home late. They don't want kids going to school early. So it's a lot involved. It seems like it's just 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's not that simple. It is a financial cost. But remember, School board don't make that decision. That comes down from the federal government. After the storm, we had to administer data, make up those minutes, and that came from the federal government. Of if we didn't do it, they was gonna cut funding. If we didn't make up those minutes, they was gonna cut funding, and your kids would lose lunch, books, and everything. So it's not our idea. We don't make that. School board don't make that decision.
Thank you, sir. District 2, Ms. Dove.
I think every child needs a break from during the day with school. Too much intensity can have a child tend to turn away. Too much stress. They're still a child. So I think they need more recess time to at least breathe.
Thank you very much.
So-
District 3, Ms. Champagne.
So herein lies the government overreach again. So when we have an abundance of overweight children, we have an abundance of children that have other issues, and we have decreased their allotted time to exercise. We've decreased their time to socialize with other children, and not only that, but we've decreased their time to even speak to each other. If you've been to the schools in Terrebonne Parish recently, you will go into an H.L. Bourgeois or another high school, and when the bell rings, it's silent. There is no children speaking to each other. And in the elementary schools, they walk with their finger over their mouth, so they're not even allowed to speak. Most of their lunches are silent lunches. They're allowed to speak for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And so we've continuously removed a lot of those freedoms from the children, and we've decreased their time and their activity. And that is altogether a bad thing. So I'm not really... I don't agree with any of the government overreach, but this is one of the ones that I think is more unhealthy for all of the children in general. So it's definitely a government overreach.
Thank you, ma'am. District 3, Mr. Ford.
I need to mark this day on my calendar because Sherry and I actually completely agree about something. So this is an overreach. Yes, it's been going on for a very long time. It's actually 376 minutes in a day. And it's killing our students. They don't have the time to socialize. They don't have the time to make those connections that they made. I remember in elementary, middle, and even junior high, not so much high school, but even in high school, my lunch recesses were spent on the basketball court. I made friends that I've kept for life in that 25, 24 minutes. And most schools give only 4 minutes between classes. I think that's a little ridiculous as well. So I don't even remember exactly what the question was, but I think our students need more downtime and definitely more PE time and time to socialize and just breathe a little bit. Just breathe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. District 4, Mr. Padot.
I would have to agree. I would say before COVID, we needed more downtime for children and more socialization. But now post-COVID, even more so, there's been a lot of isolation and kids just want to hang out with their friends. I mean, it's that simple, and they need to do that. The last part of your question mentioned...
The last part of the question is some elementary schools get a total of 20 minutes a day to go outside for unstructured play. How do you feel? How would you handle this? Positive or negative impact?
I was thinking about the physical education part, but I have a cousin who came back from school yesterday and said that in PE, he played the PS4. Now, I think in PE, you should be running around and doing exercise, personally. So I think we need to implement that, a more strict physical education curriculum.
Thank you very much. District 4, Ms. Benoit.
Well, I think that there are 2 words that are the cause of the problem, and that's mandates and testing. That has actually caused the type of curriculum and the scheduling that we're under right now. And there's 2 words to cure it: local control. The problem is that we have too many rules, policies on us from the feds and from the state. And if I had my druthers, we wouldn't take any more money from the federal government. We'd find that locally and make the decisions locally for the people that we teach, because they know best. People locally know best how to treat and teach our students locally.
Thank you so much. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
Yeah, so I'm glad that my point has finally been made by some other members of the board. So the question, or the question is why? Where are these standards coming from that create such a rigid environment in our schools? And I agree with what Ms. Benoit just said. So what happens is at a macro level, okay, you've got a bunch of academics and politicians that sit in a boardroom and create a bunch of mandated standards, and then they hand it down at the micro level. And where's the micro level? The micro level is the teacher in the classroom trying to struggle to teach this math on Monday, moving on to this math on Tuesday, and moving on to this math on Wednesday. I've had so many teachers tell me, I wish that I could just slow down and teach for longer than just one day at a time. We've got to start doing that because math builds upon math, builds upon math. Reading builds upon comprehension, which builds upon understanding and writing. I agree with Ms. Benoit. As a school board, we've got to start taking over our local education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crowdis. District 5, Ms. Triggs.
Yes, I completely agree. The children don't have enough recess. I'm the parent of a third grader. Those things contribute to office referrals. They contribute to discipline problems. The children are a little bit kind of cabin fever and stir crazy from being in the classroom all day. You know, like Mr. Ford said, I met some of my best friends are from St. Francis, you know, from my childhood. And so those are people that I've known my whole life. And those children, the children right here are getting a less intimate childhood experience. And I feel like it's taking away part of their childhood. And Mr. Lagarde said those things are coming down from the federal government or the state. I believe it comes down from the state government. But it has to be something that we can do to push back for some of those things. I don't think that not taking the money is going to be an option because we need the money. But I think that there must be something that we can do.
Thank you so much. The next question, we'll start with District 8, Mr. Brown. And it is, during the 2021 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature, some of the Bessie leadership team stated that racism is at the heart of many of our problems in the United States. That theme is a hot topic across the United States as critical race theory is being used in curriculums within many districts. What is your viewpoint on critical race theory? Also, do you see the U.S. Constitution as being a part of the foundation of our public schools? Please explain your reasoning. And Mr. Brown.
Well, I'm a history teacher, or was a history teacher. Critical race theory was not a part of any curriculum that I taught. I am trying to understand why we're here for education and all we're talking about is politics. I have a bad taste in my mouth from this experience, and what I don't understand is, does history change? Is history true? What happened, or did it not happen? I'm confused with, the idea that our kids are suffering from education, the lack of education, the lack of quality education, underprivileged schools are going on, kids are not learning, we're not able to function in a society, and we're talking about something that's not even a factor in something that I've taught for 40 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. District 1, Mr. Lagarde.
As Mr. Brown says, well, I'm a certified social studies history teacher. And now, if you want to teach something, I do believe you should teach the truth. Now, so be what it is, it is. So if you're afraid the truth or being taught something wrong. So if you want to teach the history of America, let's teach the history of America, but let's keep the politics out of it. And I think a lot of people are putting the politics on it and diverting it from the truth, what it is. So as a social studies teacher that read many curriculums, that taught on many different levels, they taught on the college level. Hey, the law is the law. Being a law instructor, I haven't seen it change yet, and it's the law, the Constitution. As a constitutional teacher, I haven't seen it change. So, hey, it is what it is.
Thank you very much. District 2, Ms. Dove.
I think history is a good thing, so history doesn't repeat itself sometimes. I also think our Constitution should definitely be taught in the schools to know where we started with our laws and how it's just gotten way out of proportion now. But as far as critical race theory, I think we should replace that with God.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, District 3, Ms. Champagne.
So, critical race theory is one of the things that I am currently and have been involved with for many years, and it has transitioned into many other things, SEL, social emotional learning, and other things. It is currently in our school system. Mr. Lagorin was actually teaching it at one point, and we are currently we are having this in our school system because the government brings it down, and then our board, our school system, not the board directly, but the superintendent and things like that for years have accepted it. And so when they accept critical race theory, which is many things, it is government funding that they receive in order to teach it. So it really isn't critical race theory. It really is not directed at race. It is directed at many other things. Race is kind of included. So they teach children material in which that is inappropriate, and then a lot of parents feel like it is. And so when we have critical race theory in our schools, and we have many students that are subjected to it, that is where we find the problems, that the parents feel like their children should not be subjected to this material.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, District 3, Mr. Ford.
Critical race theory is a political construct that's created to be divisive and separate us, and it's been pushed down through many years. However, just like Mr. Legore, just like Mr. Brown said, history is history. Anything happening before the civil rights movement is history. Critical race theory is a construct that was created after the civil rights movement, like I said, to be divisive. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's going on in our schools, but I can tell you what's not going on in our schools. We're not teaching these kids to love. We're not teaching these kids to accept each other. And we're not teaching these kids to appreciate each other. And that's where the start needs to be. Forget about critical race theory and this whole social emotional learning. I teach significant disabilities. 90% of my curriculum and the lessons that I have to teach are considered social emotional learning. Don't take those things and twist them up. That's two totally different things. And if you have a degree in education, then you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, District 4, Mr. Badeau.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I don't believe critical race theory is being taught in schools in Terrebonne Parish. I think that history is very black and white. It is what it is. And it has to be taught that way in an unbiased manner because any influence, I mean, you're talking about impressionable minds. So it has to be taught from a unbiased way. Now, do I think that, I think critical race theory itself is complicated and it can't be taught to K through 12 students because you have to have a broad understanding of the whole history to understand what's going on in critical race theory. So like you said, it's two different things. You have to realize history isn't critical race theory and critical race theory isn't history. So I would say don't teach it in Terrebonne Parish, but it is separate from history.
Thank you. District 4, Ms. Benoit.
Thank you. I believe in teaching history, the facts of history, and not to impose one's thoughts to the students about their thoughts on history and to allow the student to reach their own conclusions. As far as the Constitution, I do believe that we ought to teach the Constitution. In fact, I introduced some booklets to the superintendent last year regarding booklets on the Bill of Rights, on the preamble, on the Constitution, and also Federalist Papers, and they have ordered that for the fourth grade students. So they're going to be using those to teach students beginning in fourth grade. I definitely don't believe in critical race theory, and I agree with my constituents, my other candidates have said that there's a distinction between history and critical race, and we should stay away from the critical race theory.
Thank you so much. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
So I have to differ a little bit with some of the board members here. Critical race theory is intertwined in the history that's being taught today in some areas. Whether it's in Terrebonne schools at this particular time, I'm not aware of, but if it is, I would certainly oppose it. So people like Derek Bell and Kimberly Crenshaw, you can read their writings. And this is what I tell people on the campaign trail all the time. The reason I would oppose critical race theory is because critical race theory teaches the exact opposite of what Martin Luther King strove for. So Martin Luther King strove to teach character over the color of one's skin. And I know what I'm speaking of because I've read their books. Critical race theory teaches it is the color of one's skin over one's character. If you need references, I have them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. District 5, Ms. Triggs.
Okay, so as far as critical race theory, the idea that critical race theory came about is because someone tried to factually correct some of the history books that were lacking the appropriate, I guess, contributions of many other races, not just Black people, Native Americans, all types of people. So do I think that critical race theory is needed? No. But do I think that we need books that are factually accurate? That's correct. But if you want to get into that discussion, as far as the Constitution, I think the 1787 meeting where they were drafting the 3/5 compromise, where they talked about how they were going to count how many slaves someone had, you're going to get into those conversations about race even when you discuss the Constitution. It's just history.
Yes. I'm sorry. You can address that in your closing if you want. Yes. Next, District 6, Mr. Hamner.
Okay, let me be real clear. I reject the racial doctrine that critical race theory teaches. I believe that individuals should be judged based on the content of their character, not their skin. America's institutions, including schools, should be colorblind, just as our Constitution is colorblind. And Mr. Battle is 100% correct. We do not have it in any part of the curriculum in Terrebonne Parish schools. In fact, State Superintendent Kay Broomley went around the state introducing the newly revised social studies standards and guaranteed in all those speaking engagements that it was not part of the newly revised social studies curriculum.
Thank you very much. District 6, Ms. Mayem.
I think the way we've been teaching history is facts. And as long as we stay with the facts, then we're teaching history correctly. And so I think basically going forward, I'm the same way. I don't think we're implementing any of that. I think we're just trying to change things around. If it's history, it's factual. And that's the way it should be taught.
Thank you so much. District 8, Mr. Brown. Oh, we already started with you. All right. I'm going to give you a second shot there. But no, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. I'm trying to keep up with all this on my list here, and I'm not doing too well. So we will begin again with Mr. Lagarde in District 1 on the next question that's been given to us. What is your view on the sanctity of life? Do you foresee this as ever affecting the type of decision you make for the good of our children? Why or why not? Yes, sir. What is your view on the sanctity of life, and do you foresee this as ever affecting the types of decisions you make for the good of our children? Why or why not?
I think we all do. The decisions that we make in the life we live that affect the kids that we teach and the people around us and the experience and the education that we have. Because sometimes we have people who are uneducated trying to run the lives of people who are educated and don't know what they're talking about or doing and mastering themselves as leaders when they are not leaders. They haven't even been in the school system or haven't worked with a kid. And you ask some of these people who are running for school board, how many and what was the last time they done talked to the students? What do they know what the students want? Have they sat and talked to students, or they talked to parents, or they stayed in their own circle? If I was only teaching for my own circle, I would have very limited views. So I think your decisions that I make about my life is from a broad range of knowing people and decisions and the education that I do have.
Thank you, sir. District 2, Ms. Dove.
Kate, can you repeat the question?
Yes, I
one more
will.
time, please.
What is your view on the sanctity of life, and do you foresee this as ever affecting the types of decisions you make for the good of our children? Why or why not?
I think it's important, every decision that you make in the school board is not only for the students, but also for the parents. And then once again, to implement a plan to where everybody has, you have a plan to which the parents, the students, and the public. And I think together, it'll help make every decision I make a better for the students.
Thank you. District 3, Ms. Champagne.
Absolutely. And I think that and working with children every day and seeing the outcome in which, you know, everything that they're subjected to, either from myself or from the other adults that they're surrounded with, absolutely, it definitely makes a difference. And I think that when you do protect that and you project that for children, you give them a better foundation in order to, if you're included in making parts of their education, fundamentally, you definitely want them to be, the sanctity of life should always be cherished. And that always is always a result of portraying that onto all the children, especially when you have a school system that everything else is so crazy. You have to make sure that the children are number one, and the sanctity of life always should revolve around your decision making, for sure.
Thank you. District 3, Mr. Ford.
So I'm not sure if you're getting around to the question whether or not we were pro-life. I think this is kind of on
that
that
is the question.
page, and I'm certainly pro-life. It's taken a long time to come to this conclusion, not because I wasn't educated enough on the topic, but because I fought my own battles as a young man, and I've dealt with things. I've dealt with death, and I've dealt with situations and been in situations that made me really question my own morality and my own faith. But just like I live by a strict code of God, country, family, when I serve on this board, I serve with a strict code of our students first, then our employees, then the rest of our stakeholders. If what we're doing is not benefiting our students, then we shouldn't be doing it. If it's not benefiting our employees and our students, then we shouldn't be doing it. If it's not benefiting our employees, students, then our stakeholders, we shouldn't be doing it. Now, I think every decision we make potentially has the ripple effect that could turn into a life protection versus sanctity of life decision. So yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. District 4, Mr. Badeau.
Look, I think the life of every child is precious. It needs to be protected. That's why I think this is a good transition to school security. Children are scared. Teachers are scared of mass shootings. It's happening across America. I think I'm the only person on this stage who grew up in a generation where that was the norm, you know, school security, drills, you know, of mass shootings. And we have that in school now. And I think that we need to invest in school security, have 1 point entry to all schools, and really protect our kids because they matter. Security matters.
Thank you very much. District 4, Ms. Benoit.
Thank you. Every child is a child of God, and we need to look at every child that way. And all decisions should always be made with the utmost consideration of the child and the benefit of the child. Sometimes it also includes prayer to make those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
So when it comes to the issue of the sanctity of life, I think if we lose the foundation of the sanctity of life, then I think we begin to crumble the foundation of civil society as a whole, right? I mean, the sanctity of one individual's life is why we don't go around, taking our neighbor's goods or those types of things. So the sanctity of life is paramount. It's one of the pillars of just a civil society. Now, as it relates to, because I know there's talk nationally about school districts trying to allow high school kids to be able to make decisions without the consent or even the knowledge of parents. I know that's happening in some areas around the country, and I would never support that here in Terrebonne Parish. Going back to the parents being crucial to the child's development.
Thank you so much. District 5, Ms. Triggs.
So the sanctity of life, or the quality of life, is extremely important to me as a representative of those marginalized and underserved communities of children with disabilities. I certainly believe that their education, their health, their safety, their welfare is and should be as important as every other child in the school system. That's why I want us to get our fair share of the budget. That's why I want our schools made safe so that our children that elope are not running onto the highway and almost being killed and things like that. So I greatly, greatly value everyone and everyone's child in this school system. I truly mean that, because I've just felt sometimes that my child wasn't as valued as other children. So,
Thank you so much. District 6, Mr. Hamner.
Okay. The sanctity of life is a principle of protection regarding aspects of life that are holy and sacred and not to be violated. I believe that this principle can be applied when making decisions about our children as well.
Thank you. District 6, Ms. Mae.
I didn't run for this office because I wanted to be a politician, and my political views will never affect a decision I make for a student. It has never, ever affected a decision I made for a student. Students to me come first, absolutely number one, before myself. I will do what I need to do to help a kid. I have bought materials for kids. I've gone places. I've brought kids places. You know, I will do what it takes to help a kid get ahead. You know, I can give you an example where, I took this kid to Nichols, and he was homeless. You know, I paid for his hotel, at some point. My political views will never stagger me, and it should never stagger anybody on this panel. We should do what's right for kids, and no matter what it is. So definitely, I'm not here to be a politician. I'm here to help students.
Thank you so much. District 8, Mr. Brown.
I'm a man of faith. Now, when we talking about sanctity of life, I'm thinking about from a person's birth to a person's death. When a person lives, that's life. Are we here to talk about what the Bible says, what the politics says, or what the education says? When I read the Bible, I want to talk about love. It's kind, it's patient, it doesn't envy. It doesn't show that we are against anybody, black, white, and all of that other stuff. We quote Martin Luther King. Do we live Martin Luther King? We quote the Bible. Do we live the Bible? I'm quoting education. I want the kids of Terrebonne Parish to have the best education they can. The only way they can get this education is that we provide the services and the quality teachers in the schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, we will begin with District 2, Ms. Dove. Would you favor including an open public comment period on each regular school board meeting agenda?
I believe they already have one.
No, they don't.
They don't. Okay. That's the council. Sorry. Yes, definitely. I believe that the board's interaction with parents are really important on passing everything. I believe that nothing should be passed without the parents' interactions, because it affects their children, not ours.
Thank you. And then next, District 3, Ms. Champagne.
Absolutely. We currently do not have that. And in many cases, parents feel like they're being silenced. And so you have to go and you have to fill out a questionnaire, and you have to have them approve it before you can actually get on the agenda in order to speak, whether it's on a topic that they're addressing or whatnot. So we absolutely, for transparency reasons and many other reasons, parents should be able to walk into a school board meeting, and if they have something to say about whatever is going on, they should absolutely be able to say that. We should not be preparing 5 days in advance, and the agenda's not out. We don't know what's on the agenda. And then when you go in there, and like Ms. Trigg said, oftentimes they're very ugly to the parents that are trying to speak. And that's terrible. And you can go to many of the school board meetings and you'll see it for yourself. But we absolutely should have an open public forum with transparency for every parent to be able to go in there and speak.
Thank you so much. District 3, Mr. Ford.
Would you look at that? Twice in one day, we agree about something. Yes, we do have an opportunity for people to speak, but like Ms. Champagne said, you have to put your name on the agenda 5 days in advance. Do I think it's fair? No. Do I like the idea? No. I like the idea of having a public speaking section at the end. So when I was at Nichols, I reinstated something that they used to have a long time ago. It was called Free Speech Alley, right? And after SGA meetings, we would go out there, and it used to be outside in between those two buildings, Talbot and where the student union is, but then we moved it to inside the student union. And I myself, as a representative, would go out, and anybody that had an issue with what we dealt with that evening, they could speak on it. And I answered questions, just like I would answer questions if we were allowed to. So do I think that we should have that? Yes. Would I like to see it happen in the future? Yes. But it's going to have rules, and it's going to have procedures.
Thank you, sir. District 4, Mr. Badeau.
Well, I got a bit of a history lesson there because I go to Nichols, and we still have Free Speech Alley, but it's not used for that anymore. But I would agree. We need a public forum section so parents can go up there and speak their mind. I think the only reason those people were on that panel was because people elected them to be there, so they deserve to have a voice in the conversation. So yes, I would agree with that.
Thank you. Also, District 4, Ms. Benoit.
Thank you. Okay, so Louisiana law does mandate a public comment period, but there are rules, and the rules are to fill out cards, to come to the podium, introduce yourself, say where you live and your name. Also, you're only limited to 3 minutes. This is common to all the school board meetings. And what most people don't know is that public comment does not mean question and answer period. So that the member of the public is not entitled to ask a question or demand an answer. Just as important, the public comment period is not the time for school board members to engage with the public in a one-on-one debate. As a school board member, you get your opportunity to say that after the public comment, and then you avoid the impulse to interrupt a member of the public, which we don't do. So no, I'm not in favor of an open mic public comment. However, I do think that we ought to have sessions other times to be able to do that. I don't think every meeting should accommodate that. The school board has business, especially more business now with the conditions of the school.
Okay,
so we don't have time for that.
Thank you so much. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
So I think this question sort of almost completes the circle from where we began initially about 2 hours ago, where we were talking about parent input into their child's education. You know, I'm not a school board member presently. But I can see Ms. Benoit's point. I can see Mr. Ford and Mr. Badeau's point. Certainly, you would want a forum to where parents could come and talk about issues with their children, but you would definitely need guidelines and rules because otherwise things could get out of hand. You would certainly want it to have some guidelines going there.
Thank you. District 5, Ms. Triggs.
Okay, so certainly I'm a fan. Like I said, never going to happen. And I'm not going to allow if I'm elected, I'd never allow any of my other sitting board members to disrespect parents. They elected you to be here. Mr. Ford has afforded me personal privilege on different opportunities, Ms. Lagarde as well, and I definitely appreciated them because to stifle the public is not going to create a good relationship with the public. So I definitely don't agree. I think it works well for the parish council meetings. It works well for Bessie meetings I've attended or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's got to have policies in place or whatever, but it works well. It's a public policy. It works well everywhere else.
Thank you so much. District 6, Mr. Hamner.
Well, yeah, everybody has an opportunity to talk at the school board member on motions that are made. The reason for this is because motions are put on the agenda, and when they're made, there's a call for public comment on every one. The reason why you have to have an agenda is because the public has the right to know what is being covered at a school board meeting or a parish council meeting or a library board meeting. They have to have those comments, and they have to be placed on the agenda. So in case somebody disagrees with you, they can show up and state their point.
All right, thank you very much. District 6, Ms. Mae.
Yeah, I totally understand that we have to have a forum and we have to have, policies in place for people to speak and when to speak, but I don't agree that we don't have open questions and answers. I think the public should be able to come in and ask specific questions and get specific answers. It's like, what are we trying to hide? So, we should have that at least at the end of the board meeting after the agenda has taken place.
Thank you so much. District 8, Mr. Brown.
The parents and the students are our constituents. Allowing them the opportunity to speak is a right. At the school board meeting, that should not be the only opportunity. Seems to me that you as a parent should be attending the school PTA meetings. You should be attending parent conferences. You should be going to visit your schools. You should address all your concerns, and then you should go up the chain of ladder. You should talk to the principal, the teacher, the principal. Then you should individually talk to your school board representative. Hopefully you have his number, email address, and then when you have the opportunity that it has not been addressed, then you should go to the school board meeting to address it.
All right, Mr. Lagarde.
Yes, I believe you should have the opportunity. When I first got on the board, I know they changed something. I know there's a speaker card you have to fill out, and there's so many days. And I did ask them, and they did change it. They didn't change what exactly I wanted, but I do believe you should have the opportunity. Also, I think I made the motion where we can start having it viewed, because when I got there, it was no technology. I think I was one of the only board members got a computer, and it wasn't streaming. I thought we should do like the council where it could be streamed live on TV, and you should. So anybody know me? I give anybody time. I'm an open book. You can call I never duck the call. Now, nobody in this parish could ever say they called Mike Lagarde and he didn't call them back. You can't find one person who could say that, because as a school board member, I believe you want to know. As a teacher, nobody ever not get my number, and I didn't care what time you call, because it's your student, it's your child. You want to know, because I want to know. When my kids was in school, I still want to know. I call their college teachers, and they was like, do you have a form filled out? Check it and see, because I will call, and they will call me.
Thank you very much. This is going to be the final question of our question and answer series, and then after this, we will give you 2 minutes each to make your final statements. We're going to start this final question with District 3, Ms. Champagne, and it's going to be, at this time, what do you see as the most urgent needs of Terrebonne school districts and or your particular district, and how do you plan to address those needs?
So I think currently right now we have a huge problem with the rebuilding of the schools and getting those schools in operating condition. A lot of the schools were not damaged, but many of them were. So I believe that making sure that all of those schools are repaired, and if they're not, that they are not only closed but destroyed. And I think that in my district, our schools, we have a lot of portables which are unsafe. We have to deal with that. and making sure that the funding is allocated correctly, making sure that we have the funding that is in place for each and every school and it's allocated correctly. And I think that each one of our schools is different, and a lot of them have different techniques and they have different curriculums, but in general, I think that funding is very crucial, getting our schools in operating order, ensuring that the students come first. Discipline is huge, and making sure parental involvement. We need to allow the parents back into our schools.
Thank you. Thank you. And next, District 3, Mr. Ford.
So we're actually pretty fortunate in District 3. We do cover a lot of different schools as far as people that live in our district and their students go to different schools. We have Broadmoor, Oakshire, Lisa Park, Coteau Bayou Blue, Evergreen, H.L. Bourgeois, Terrebonne, and Homogeneous High, actually. So we cover a number of schools on the west side of Houma. As far as in our district, the actual buildings, we have Broadmoor, and we have the Adult Ed Center. Those schools didn't have as much damage as most of the other schools in our district and in the parish. So I don't mind taking a little time getting our schools back in order because they're already in pretty good shape. We have the east side schools, the down the bayou schools, they are in dire need of facilities. If you had to ask me to pinpoint one major problem in our district or one issue, I think it's school safety, it's security. I think that should be paramount. Our schools are a little bit older, so they don't have the security built in, the fencing, and I'm looking forward to that happening.
Thank you very much, sir. District 4, Mr. Bedell.
So I would say that hurricane recovery is a top priority. There were many facilities damaged, and it's going to be a long, grueling process. There's going to be budget debates, and it won't happen overnight. I mean, this is a serious deal. I mean, people are still rebuilding the community. So I think our top priority is making sure that our facilities meet the needs of our students going forward. And that's on top of already being concerned of future hurricane seasons. So everything that we build, we have to keep in mind for the future. And to go back to the point of security, that too. These new facilities may have been built because of the hurricane, but they have to include more modern technology for school safety. So that's the biggest issues I see right now as well.
Thank you very much. Also, District 4, Ms. Benoit.
Thank you. The task of the 2023 school board will be a continuation of what we are currently dealing with right now, which is the rebuilding of schools. Every school in Terrebonne Parish had damage. Some were more critical than others, but every school was damaged. So we are dealing with that really on a daily basis. And every school board meeting has been, half of the meeting has been devoted to talking about the schools, talking with project managers, finding out what's going on and making decisions of how we go forward. So definitely that's going to be the priority.
Thank you, ma'am. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
So just for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and agree with every current school board member that the restructuring, not the restructuring, but the rebuilding of the schools after the hurricane is certainly #1 priority. But moving forward and going to #2 from there, so the schools that I would represent if I were elected as a school board member, I have one school that has a B grade, another school that has a C grade, and another school that has a D grade. So as someone from the outside coming in, one of the first things I would have to do is go to those schools and find out what are the things that you need in order to make your school and your students more successful. Let's figure out why you're a C, let's figure out why you're a D, and then let's figure out how we can prioritize the needs that you require to bring those letter grades up to teach those children.
Thank you very much, sir. District 5, Ms. Triggs.
Okay, so certainly #1, the rebuilding of schools. Secondly, teacher morale and teacher pay. Top priority for me. Figure out a prioritized budget and find out how we can learn to value our greatest assets, which is our teachers. Next, our special needs children, their facilities, their classrooms need to be put back together in a safe way. We need to, especially at SEC, we have safety issues out there where the children are not protected, the fencing is not constructed, and children have been getting out, and that's a safety issue. Lastly, in some of those schools that Mr. Curtis referred to, some of the children and the parents don't relate well to some of the newer learning programs that are currently being used, combined with that decrease of actual teaching because of all the requirements. So about 5th to 6th grade, some of those children can't read, and then the gap just gets wider. So,
All right, thank you very much. And then District 6, Mr. Hamner.
Okay, when it comes to District 6, I believe that for District 6 and for the whole school system, actually, that the absolute priority of the school system must be for the safety of its children, faculty, and staff. Now, with that said, specifically to District 6, we need upgrades to Terrebonne High School and Houma Junior High, and the building of a 9th grade wing at Terrebonne High School. We need to update the labs and have some common areas. We need to modernize that school. It's a beautiful school, but it needs to be updated drastically. There's also a need for universal pre-K. Most of the members of District 6, most of the families there, do not qualify for the federal universal pre-K program. I am a big advocate of pre-K education, and I want to see it open to all families in Terrebonne Parish. And finally, fully staffed transportation department.
Thank you. Thank you very much. District 6, Ms. Mae.
I think we were talking about the needs, the priority. For me, it's getting our students back to school. COVID for 2 years, then the hurricane. Our attendance of some of our students is horrible. We need to get our kids back to their routines and getting back. I know buildings is a priority, but the kids they're gonna be fine regardless of where we put them. I mean, you can think back of your your elementary. You don't remember the building that you were in. You remember the teachers and the experience you had. So, I think we need to, number one is we need to get our kids back into a quality education, and we need to get them back attending school as a priority. So that for me is number one.
Thank you, ma'am. District 8, Mr. Brown.
Our students the last 3 years have had to experience COVID and hurricanes. We need to be providing our students support through counseling, through parental help, through a little TLC. School buildings, once we start addressing the upkeep and the building of them, then the safety and welfare of those kids will be taken care of. The weaknesses I see in Terrebonne Parish is that we spend far less than the majority of the state on our students per student expenditures. We don't evidently value what a great education can be provided to our students if we give our students the qualified, highly qualified teachers and buildings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 1, Mr. Lagarde.
The main thing we have to do, guys, is to rebuild our damaged schools, because without the schools being rebuilt, we can't go forward. So the number one thing is to rebuild the schools, and then teacher recruitment or employees. Everybody having a problem with employees, teachers, bus drivers, but the number one thing, we have to rebuild those schools. For the go on the safety, the education, they're gonna go on, guys. Don't make it sound like we have all this problem. We have a good school district, and we spend less money because we get less money, but we're doing better than a lot of other places. If you look at our ranking in the state with the funds we have, we do an excellent job in Terrebonne Parish on spending money on the kids. So the number one thing is, guys, I think is rebuilding those damaged schools. And besides the storm damaged schools, we have to rebuild a new Oaklawn Junior High on the east side. That's my number one priority, is rebuilding the schools and rebuilding a new Oaklawn and recruiting teachers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 2, Ms. Dove.
I think the most important is rebuilding the schools. Most of the schools are really bad and horrible. And a child cannot get a good education if you have a bad environment.
All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and do our final statement tonight. Whatever you would like to say in that, that's totally fine. You get 2 minutes apiece, and we're going to start off like end up like we started with Mr. Lagarde.
I would like to close out again. My name is Mike Lagarde, number 60. Been the school board member for the last 4 years, guys, and everything I wanted, we didn't get accomplished. We had the pandemic, then we had the hurricane. So those 4 years was hampered with a lot of problems that we had to stop and started addressing other issues. So in the next 4 years I can't dictate what I'm going to do. It's been dictated to me already. So we have to rebuild schools. Guys, school safety is a big priority. Thank God we haven't had nothing happen at these schools like it happened around the country. But guys, your kids are safe in our schools. We do have procedures and policies in place. We do have certain things in place that we just have to improve on. Overall, guys, we have a great school district. Don't let no one tell you no different. Do we have problems? Of course we have problems. But we have one of the best public schools in this state. If I would have to say in the country, look at the kids that come from our public schools are doing fine around this country. So do we need improvement? Yes, we need improvement. So my next 4 years is to help continue this school. We're going to look at the problems, but we're going to have to rebuild schools into the 21st century. We're going to have to spend the money that maybe should have been spent, but we're going to have to build schools for the future. We're going to have stuff to address. We're going to have issues from the federal government. That's nothing new. We're going to have issues from the local government. That's nothing new. So we just going to have to keep pushing because, like I say, we have done a great thing. And on top of all that, 2 of my schools won state championships. And then I was also proud to be a part of a 1965 state championship at Southdown being awarded. So we had 3 championships. We had some great things going on with all that chaos. With all that chaos, our students are resilient. They bounce back through all that was going on. So guys, we have some good students and some good teachers and employees in this parish. Continue to support us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, for your final statement, Ms. Dove, District 2.
Okay, so when I first walked in here tonight and I saw there was a TV camera, I looked at Miss Vicki and I said, I can't do this. She said, look at Dr. Bud. Keep focused on him and you won't mess up any of the questions. Well, I did. I messed up the questions on opting out. I am totally with the parents opting out. So I wanted to correct myself with that. You know, I just moved back 2 years ago. I spent almost 11 years in a college in Florida. I was president of student government of 44,000 students. And when I got back here, nothing's really changed. So when I left in 95, nothing. Not the schools, not the roads, anything. So I said, you know what, I want to make a change. So I'm running for office to make sure that our kids don't have to walk into a school. As a substitute teacher, I walked into the school and I was like, gross. I don't want to be here. But I had to be there for the student, you know. But for these children to walk into these schools, when we get over just alone on local income for our general fund, $23 million, and our schools are just disgusting, is unacceptable to me. You know, unacceptable. And I was born and raised here. You know, I think we need to bring more parental. You know, I want to hear what you've got to say about your child. It's your child that's, you know, that I'm teaching or that I'm helping. It's not my child. You know, I think there needs to be more interaction and more transparency with the parents. So I'm number 62. Please vote for me.
Thank you so much. Next, District 3, Ms. Champagne.
So I think transparency, accountability, and school safety. Those are 3 very important things that we have that should be priority, and currently they're not. And so that's one of the things that I think that we all should be prepared to demand. We should demand that from our school board. These are elected officials. They should do what you say to do, not what they say to do. And if a government overreach comes in and the schools and the district says that we have to do what they say, that's not true. We pay attorneys here with your tax dollars, and if your attorneys that you pay want you to be mandated, then we're paying them to tell us to mandate. So we have to hold all of the board members accountable for all of that. Transparency is crucial. Without transparency, there absolutely is, there's no input from parents. So we have to make sure that if we have an elected school board, that they are transparent, they are held accountable, and in all aspects of education, it's important that we have school safety. Years ago, I implemented, I did an undercover sting that actually implemented the school safety locally, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, things like that, where I showed that it was very easy to get into our schools. And I can tell you right now, I can walk into most of our schools through a back door, every single one of them. And I can show you footage that I can show that every single one of our schools are soft targets. We have to fix that. Fencing is going up, I get it, that is happening, but school safety is crucial. Accountability, I mean, there is so much going on and so much money and so much funding. There has to be accountability as to where that's being spent. And if public records requests are denied, we cannot assure that that money is being allocated correctly. So that's very important that we have all three of those and that they are a priority.
Thank you so much. In District 3, Mr. Ford?
I like that I keep hearing accountability and transparency because that has been the theme of my first 4 years. In fact, I'm one of the only board members that has had town hall meetings on a quarterly basis, virtually and in person. So the transparency has also been there. The accountability has been there. What I want you guys to consider, and those at home, we've been here about 2 hours and 20 minutes, right, roughly. You guys have been sitting still, and it's very challenging to do that, right? You're adults. We have students, we have young children in classes being forced to sit still for 2.5, 3 hours. It's virtually impossible for them. We need to start getting back to the grassroots of education. How do we start this meeting tonight, this forum? We started it with a prayer, and then we started it with a pledge following the prayer. Why are we not doing that in our schools? We do it at our board meetings. We do it at council meetings. Why are we not doing it in schools? That's something we need to get back to as well. Now, there's a lot of other things that we can discuss, but as an educator, not just on the board, but also in the classroom every day, my main priority, my main focus falls back on an ancient, well, it's not so ancient, but everyone knows it, and it's a parable that says this: give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. As educators in the classroom and out the classroom, as board members and administrators, whoever you are, custodians, construction workers, our job is to teach men to fish, get these kids excited about learning, inspire them to do something, and to make learning possible. That's what our responsibility is as a board and as educators. Thank you.
Thank you so much. District 4, Mr. Adele?
Well, first, I want to thank We the People and HTV for partnering and letting us come out tonight and speak. I spoke with a lot of parents and students, paraprofessionals, cafeteria workers, you name it. And I thought I was in the best position to bridge that generational divide we see today in the school system and on the board. We are a reflection of who we vote for, and I think that we need to transition to the 21st century in a more modern direction. In terms of policy, look, dealing in a post-COVID world, people are still suffering from those mental health issues. So we need more funding to deal with that in the schools. Post-IDA, that plays a factor in mental health. I mean, students are really struggling. In terms of security, we need to beef up school security. Like she mentioned, she said she did a sting operation and she didn't get through a back door. I don't think that should be happening in Terrebonne Parish. Teacher retention. We need to keep the certified teachers that we have. We also need to recruit more certified teachers. I have friends who are graduating in a year who want to find nice jobs. We can't compete with St. Charles, but we can do our best to make it competitive. So I would say thank you for allowing us to speak, and I hope that you guys vote for Jack Spano on on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you so much. District 4, Ms. Benoit.
I'd like to start by thanking the audience for your attendance tonight, also for We the People for arranging the forum, and then, of course, HTV for filming us. Should I be reelected, I will work to constantly express the concerns of my constituents. My allegiance has always been to the children of the parish. I will constantly elicit help from the parents, the teachers, and community members to keep myself well informed of what's going on in and around the schools. Any recommendations or complaints by the parents or community members will be passed on to the superintendent, as I usually do. I always recommend that you follow the chain of command first, but if you come into a point where you don't get results, we go all the way to the top with that. I will attend board meetings and always listen with an open mind to other board members, to the community groups and the individuals that come to speak to us. And I will always consider them before making a final decision. I believe that my responsibility is truly to all the children in Terrebonne Parish, not District 4 only. And I will consider all those children before making my decision about an issue or concern. And thank you once again for your attendance or for tuning in tonight, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. District 5, Mr. Crowdis.
So first of all, I would like to say thank you to We the People and also to HTV for broadcasting this. Secondly, I would like to dovetail on a lot of what Coach Brown talks about. So we've all heard the cliche that it takes a village to raise a child. But also as adults in here, we've all known situations or times when children have been around a large group of adults, and yet harm can still come to that child. What's the reason for that? The reason for that is because someone else always thinks that someone else is keeping an eye on the kids, okay? When the reality is that while it may take a village, the village starts in the home. The village starts in the home. Secondly, what I would love to see is what we talked about earlier. I would love to see, there's a reason why this board gets elected. I would love to see more local control. In the line of work that I do, if you come to Chabert and you need surgery, I put you to sleep. I do an anesthetic on you, okay? If that anesthetic is not working, then guess what? I have to change plans, and I have to do it quickly so that you make it home to your loved ones. The mandates and the guidelines that come down prevent that flexibility. If something's not working in the system, why can't we as a board make a change? It should be our authority to do that. That's what I would love to see. Thank you for your time. You've been very attentive. My name is George Crowdis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And District 5, Ms. Triggs.
Yes, I'd like to say that in closing, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I appreciate this opportunity to be heard. 15 years ago, I began a free community service of assisting other parents to be able to understand and navigate the special education system. Since then, I've been called upon by many parents to be a voice for many other issues within the school system. I believe in all children getting the free and appropriate education they deserve, and we can't do that without the teachers. I believe prioritized budgeting will allow us to find the funds to pay and keep our quality teachers and staff, expand innovative learning programs, build and maintain schools better, develop more appropriate spending habits, and improve education in Terrebonne Parish. people run the schools, and those people are us. We should decide which policies are best for our kids. It's time for us to put these things into action, and then we'll be able to see the fruits of our sacrifices. Transparency is a paramount. We talk about it, we speak about it, but when it comes time to really give over those things, yield to someone that you consider your equal, if you consider the public your equal, if you consider yourself a public servant, do not mistreat those that have elected you to be in office. If you elect me, I will represent you. Vote number 70. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 6, Mr. Clyde Hamner.
Okay, before I begin my remarks, I heard the word politician at least 4 times tonight. And the first time I heard the words public service was from Wanda next to me just now. I want the people of District 6, and you can zoom in on the camera for me. I want the people of District 6, that way they'll get rid of their roaches, to know that I consider my time on the Terrebonne Parish School Board public service, and therefore I am a public servant, not a politician. With that said, my career in education, coupled with a background in accounting and finance, gives me the expertise needed to lead the way in educating our children, conducting the business of our school system, and moving forward through these challenging times. My work is not yet done. I want to see greater progress as we work with the new superintendent, address the impacts of COVID-19 and Hurricane Ida, and reevaluate the goals of Terrebonne Parish schools. We need to proceed with addressing the need for universal pre-K next year for all students who choose pre-K, keep improving academic quality, and offer more optional career paths to our students. Schools need to continue support services for social, emotional, and physical well-being of students, and our school system must continue to work on school safety measures, including single-point entry vegetables, more SROs, and diligently addressing bullying and the potential for violence in our schools. I also look forward to accelerating the momentum of advancing school construction as we rebuild, remodel, and renovate our school buildings. My priority will include upgrading and remodeling of Terrebonne High School and Houma Junior High and constructing the 9th grade wing at Terrebonne High School. In addition, we must address the growing shortage of teachers and other school level personnel. My name is Clyde Hamner, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, District 6, Ms. Maye.
First of all, there's a lot of talk that constantly happens, and I don't see action. And that's why I decided to run, because I've been in education for 36 years, and I saw that there were no changes. Terrebonne High was one of the things Mr. Hamner mentioned. At Terrebonne High, we were the last school in the state to have 9th graders at the school. And that happened because of a plan that I came up with so that we can make a wing, because we couldn't put them on our campus, to make a wing, to make an academy for the 9th grade so that we could have them, because we were always getting their scores, but we weren't teaching them. So, I can think out the box. I can come up with ideas. And that's why I want to run, because I have some ideas that I think we could bring forward, to make some changes. As a district, we've been so focused on school performance scores, and I understand that because I played the numbers as a school counselor. I understand that. Totally get it. But we only focus on core subjects: English, math, science, social studies. We have curriculum specialists for that. But we have not focused on preparing kids for life. I want to make that change. I know we need a career tech coordinator. We can hire a career tech coordinator, and that could be our specialist for electives and to redo our electives. Because, guys, we are still teaching electives the same way that we were teaching when I was in school. We haven't made any changes. How can we prepare kids for life if all we do is focus on English, math, science, and history? We need a change, and I promise you I have ideas for those changes. I will work with the superintendent. I brought that to him before I retired to hire a career tech coordinator because it is needed in this parish so to prepare our kids for life. I promise you if I'm elected, I'm going to push for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And District 8, Mr. Brown, you can bring it on home.
Thank you. Elections have consequences. We are the role model for the future. What type of society do you want to live in? What type of education do you want to have? I'm not going to be the person that's going to please everybody. If you want a straight answer, I'm the person to come to. If you want an honest answer, I'm the person to come to. If you want a person that's going to help students, going to help kids, going to care about them, going to push them to be successful, then I'm the person to be in this position. I will not compromise my beliefs. I'm firm in what I believe. I believe education is the opportunity for a person to be successful. I'm not promising you anything but a person that's going to work hard, a person that's going to care about our students, a person that's going to live the life and the example that he wants other people to follow. I have an investment in Terrebonne Parish. I've been here now since all my life. I made a choice of coming back. I graduated from LSU, had opportunities to stay in Baton Rouge, but I wanted to come back to Terrebonne Parish. Politicians, or whatever we call ourselves, that's not me. I'm a public servant. I'm a person that wants to help people. If you want to elect a person that wants to help people, then vote for Ernest Coach Brown. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we give a round of applause to our candidates? Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of this. I want to thank the attendants as well. And a special thank you for our timekeeper over there, Ms. Sherry Robichaud. She kept everybody in line. Thank you. Just a couple of quick announcements, and we'll close. Number one, we have a We the People mixer tomorrow night at 6:30 at Spickett's. Everybody's invited if you'd like to come and find out more. And you've heard these people. They're working hard for your vote. So I want to encourage you on November the 8th, get out there and vote and get other people out there and vote well. Thank you so much for the evening. Thank you for participating.